Hello everyone, day 3-ish of the league here for Torchlight Infinite, and let's talk about some farming strategies that I use to help get me out of tier 7, out of tier 8, and kind of like what I'm using in Profound for right now. I think that there's quite a bit of different ways that you can make some decent currency, and you can actually even sustain your beacons in tier 8 right now, which I thought was something you could never do, something I actually did manage to do for quite a while yesterday. And so let's talk about it real quick. So starting off here with the whole void chart here, I would kind of recommend completely avoiding the legendary and gear talent constellations. Both of these are kind of baits and not very good. Going into the commodities here, I think there's lots of good options here in commodities. For example, treasure chests can give you some of the rarest gear. Stuff like wind breath convergence we can see here with the drop source is treasure chest exclusive, and baseline worst rolls is about 800 FE. And if you happen to be a god and drop a 4-stack here, we can see that this is going to be quite an expensive ring that you can find. So definitely something that is decent to add to your farming setup. I think these are pretty good. Also, the treasure chests just tend to give quite a bit of currency. Early on, I'd also recommend going over here and getting the Ember set up as well. Embers and even some of the Netherrealm resonance can be some pretty good, easy, kind of free money, if you would. Especially the Embers right now. The fine Embers are, I think, 10 Embers for 1 FE, which can turn into some pretty quick cash for you. But you're probably going to end up needing it quite a bit as you decide to roll your all like tier 2s and all your tier 1 gear. I had to buy a whole bunch of embers, and so I think this is going to be a good way for you to generate some money for yourself if you're selling them or saving your money by just using them yourself. And then resonance is like a good kind of free 4 points here that you can go slap in here to get some more resonance. You can sell this to other people. I wouldn't really recommend using too much resonance at tier 7, like maybe 1 click, maybe 3 clicks of the resonance like roll up if you're doing a tier 8, but it's kind of expensive to do. So yeah, maybe not worth it too much. Going up here and getting like rares and magics, I think are pretty solid. These appear to give you just more coins in general. Sometimes these guys give quite a bit of coins, which is pretty nice. But yeah, I think those points are pretty solid. Now for beacons here, I don't know if this would really work in tier 7, but in tier 8, what I did is I went over to the left and then up, and then I took these points down here as well. And then I think I put like 1 point in both of these here. And that alone was enough for me to sustain tier 8 beacons. I did kind of have to hop from zone to zone a little bit, but I did not have to buy any beacons for hours of grinding. And so I think that that is pretty darn solid and something I would recommend, especially doing tier 8. Potentially you could maybe turn this into a strategy in tier 7. One thing to note here is that this node here will give us more magic monsters drop beacons if you don't put a compass in. If you're doing compasses, this node is worthless to you, but this is basically the equivalent of like 20 of these other nodes here. So this is very, very, very powerful. Over here, this one is like only 0.4, whereas this one's 0.2. And so this might not sound like a whole bunch, but this does add up beacon over beacon. Next up, let's talk about pirates real quick. So pirates, I think, got kind of a little bit of a glow up here compared to last season. Previously, it would just be like you take just the points to add the pirates to the tree, and that would be pretty much it. You wouldn't want to do anything else. This section over here, I think, is really great. Pretty much you go down to this part here, and then you're going to pick, I think you want to pick 2 of these nodes. You probably want to take wealth every single time. I think armaments could also be good, but basically what this does is that in the stage, there'll be a monster that'll be carrying a whisper of armament or wealth or wonder, depending on what you pick. And this will make it so that as you are like picking the thing at the pirate anchor, one of those will be like every single thing will potentially be a wonder, but they have different rarities. So you can have like blue, you got purple ones, you have gold. And so it's kind of nice to have 2 of these, because then you just pick the one that has the higher rarity and you're going to have just better options at the end. And so I don't know if you necessarily want to do all 3, but really it's just 4 points here that pretty much give you like really good options all of the time. And then I really didn't mess around with going over here, the like boss whisper and stuff like that. I heard that this had some issues with this. And so I just completely avoided this personally. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is Cube. And I think that Cube is actually a lot better this season. They pretty much sped up the coveting speed and added a lot better loot inside of there. Now, granted, I've been hitting the greed gambles a whole bunch and failing, but I have sold like several hundreds of FE of slates. I sold one slate for 777 FE. I didn't think it was going to sell. It was a 2 legendary node, and it had I think +1 attack skill level and 2-handed damage increased on it, the multiplier one. And I was just going to hold it and potentially use it on a second build or something, and it sold. So pretty crazy. And so there's definitely some really good slates you can get now. Getting legendary nodes on slates feels just so much easier. Getting those legendary wedges are also worth quite a bit right now, but generally you're like, pennies that you're gonna be farming up here are gonna be the wedges. And so like the blue ones really aren't worth all that much. The purple ones I believe are like 2 for 10, so that is not that bad. You're not gonna be getting unifying wedges if you get these legendary ones here, like 12 to 13 for these. The new god stuff here is like 10, maybe 12 for these as well. It's just pretty solid, just like very consistent loot. That's another thing I kind of forgot to mention with the pirates is really your consistent loot here is like memory scraps. Basically everybody needs memory scraps. By the way, if your gear is feeling bad, it's probably because you haven't leveled up your hero memory yet. Also, everybody's going to need threads. And so getting these like epic ones here, about 2 FE a pop. And so it's really, really easy way for you to make money. Very consistent. You don't really need to use your brain all that much. Not like really a ton of things for you to like think about in terms of price checking. For pirates, Cube is definitely a little bit more complicated. God of War, I don't really think you want to use this unless you are kind of like struggling. I'm trying like using this to try like power through Profound a little bit. It is helping a little bit. Same thing here with compasses. I don't think that this is something you really want to go and do too much unless you are like really focusing on some sort of compass strategy combined with clockwork specifically. That's probably more of a late game strategy. Same thing with hunting and might and machines. All of those are all very late game, maybe even Dark Surge as well. And the other stuff you probably do want to put on your map would be like the City of Eterna guys. I think these are like some nice 4 points here. These guys count as bosses, and so other things that benefit bosses do benefit on these guys. They show up like every 20 maps. Sometimes there's a whole bunch of them in your map, which is pretty nice. And just getting these flames are pretty solid because, people who are farming the city typically aren't in maps, and so they aren't earning these at all. Probably get like, maybe 2 FE for one of the big ones, and then it's about 2 FE for 10 of the little ones. So pretty easy for you to stack that up. And the next thing we talk about here is Mistfill. So Mistfill gained this top section here. We're now in time mark 8 and above. You have a chance to get yourself activation mediums from these guys, which is pretty solid. But pretty much this entire tree here just makes it so you're more likely to drop eyeballs. The eyeballs, I think, sell for an okay amount. It's not really super duper crazy, like basically 2 for 1, maybe like 0.75. It would be like a realistic price here. That's not really all that bad. And really, these guys are not very scary to add to your map at all. And they will go and just kind of like be something that goes into your inventory you don't even really think about, and suddenly you have a whole bunch of FE just sitting there waiting for you to sell, which I think is a very good thing to have. The guys for this here, the city guys, are a lot scarier for sure. Next up, Nightmare. So Nightmare used to be like probably the most overpowered farming thing, and right now I'd say in time mark 7, probably not worth running Nightmare. The big reason you would run Nightmare is because it would like give you extra monsters, give you lightning, give you speed, give you just like tons of currency and cube stuff, and give you a lot of the dream talking things. And a lot of that stuff has kind of been reduced. This node over here no longer gives you lightning basically a lot more frequently, so it's not giving you a ton of power and speed. And then the dream talking seems to be significantly reduced. The cards here definitely seem to be nerfed as well. This regretful one, I think it's like 0.4 if you actually get it on the map. Let me just go peek real quick. Like this one here, the blue one is 0.4% chance on sleepwalkers. The purple is 0.6. And then if you get the orange one, it's 1.2. And I think that the epic one might be gone now. Yeah, so the rainbow card is gone. It doesn't even exist anymore, which feels pretty bad. Oh yeah, actually, never mind. It's over here. I don't know why I don't have this unlocked then. 2% chance, another 2%. Okay, maybe I have to go unlock that as well. But I do think that generally getting sleep talking stuff is just not really in the same spot as it was previously, where you could very easily get these in Time Mark 7. Now you're going to have to like invest a little bit more into this. And so I'd probably wait until you're at least Time Mark 8 to start doing the strategy. This is kind of feeling okay and profound because this is not super duper scary, and your talent tree can kind of like help reduce the damage of monsters and the nightmare and also make them take more damage, which I think is a little bit safer than some of the other options. Next up, one of my favorite splash trees here is the canvas tree. So I think that these 4 points here are very solid. Make it so that bosses drop one additional set of snow paper fragments. And you can take this node and this node here. And if that's all you took, you would be making a lot of money, because this doesn't add any monsters to your map. 0 danger increase, but just guaranteed money off of every single boss. And I think that honestly, this might be a little bit overtuned. And when I'm talking about this paper here, what I mean is snow paper fragments. And right now this is, 10 paper for 1 FE. So I have like over 2,000 snow paper fragment in my inventory. It's like 200 FE of snow paper just chilling in my inventory right now. And so this is pretty good. They did also give the opportunity for Time Mark 8 dyed snow monsters to have a chance of dropping the support. I did run this for a while, didn't really proc for me. And these guys are actually pretty scary. You can choose to have a chance to replace all rares with the dyed snowed monsters, which I don't know if I'd recommend that. It's pretty terrifying when it does proc. Those guys do not mess around and can slap you down pretty fast. Maybe a little bit of an overtuned monster type. Last little section here, the new Arcana Tree, I think is pretty solid. You take the left side here to make it so it always shows up. Over here gives you an additional chance of stuff being settled. And then you can have, for example, a chance for it to be completed right away. And then more chances for notes and stuff, I think is pretty good. And then going over here for more notes, and over here as well, completing a tarot trial, 1% chance, 1% to the chest of destiny drop quantity for every point of tarot trial progressed. So I think this is just increasing your end loot as well. And then going into the middle, you do have the ability to generate a free card at the end. And then you probably want to go in here and do like survival or summon. I think even spells has a couple of these that are very expensive right now. But you want to go check the market to see what's very expensive. I think that this is overall a pretty solid tree to pick, as long as you know how to handle the Arcana stuff. This doesn't really go well with God of War because it slows you down so much, but you can like mix this in with really anything else and it would truly be fine. Just pretty good. Now, talking about profound talent tree, there is one that I think is very powerful right now, but has some problems to it. And it is this 40% drop quantity, Netherrealm stage challenge attempts -5. And the reason why this is a big problem is because it gives us a bunch of loot, but we only have 1 life to live and 1 challenge. And it's the 1 challenge that kind of causes problems, because if you proc Nightmare in your map, that counts as leaving the map and you can't come back into the map. So the map evaporates. Proc Nightmare, it's gone. Go into Arcana while in the map is gone. And so log out, I think, and the map is gone. Teleport out to change your hero trait, map is gone. And so you really only, or you die, map is gone. So you really only want to do this when you're feeling very strong, you never die, and you want some more loot, and you're not running Nightmare. And that's pretty much it. I think that this is pretty solid for those things. You're not really going to be getting yourself a lot of drop quantity from other sources when you're kind of low. You don't really want to be using Netherrealm Resonance all that much. Like Time Mark 7, maybe you're using 1 click. Time Mark 8, maybe you're using 2, maybe 3. But you really shouldn't be using compasses and other things. And this just kind of gives you some of the drop quantity that you didn't have otherwise. And then most of these other options here are not super duper great right now. So going and getting like +1 cards, I think is okay. But, you know, making monsters take less damage can be kind of rough sometimes. Making it so star shards don't drop is something you shouldn't be doing, because then you're not getting your, you know, void talent stuff. You're not progressing if you would. Going over here and making it so you're getting worse cards is not something that you necessarily want to do either. Like, just less cards is kind of bad, even though it's 20% star shards, not super duper great. And yeah, so pretty much I'll just take these little tiny nodes. I don't really like this one here. And then you know, you're not using compasses, so you shouldn't use that. And this one requires 25 star points, which maybe is okay for some strategies. That's only 10% like additional, which I don't know how tuned that is right now. But yeah, that's pretty much all of the different parts of the tree. I think that if for the very beginning, if I was going to be doing tier 7 again, I would definitely be doing pirates or cube. These felt pretty smooth, pretty fun. Both of these kind of like give you kind of a capstone at the end of the map. We're going to be doing something like after you kill the boss, which is pretty nice. And then moving into like tier 8, I think Nightmare starts to become viable. Probably just like something very similar to this. You could even just go over and get, I think, probably this node up here. Yeah, I'm probably going to end up going and dropping this little section here to take that. And just so that I have the chance of getting the rainbow card, which, you know, probably won't see for like a week or something. But, you know, a chance of it is pretty nice. I think that this is pretty fine. And yeah, hopefully this video helps you out, help you progress a little bit. One more thing that I will recommend is that you really want to go through your inventory here, especially of commodities and others, and just price check stuff to see if there's really anything that you can be selling to make money. Anything that's just like sitting in here is something that could potentially be money instead. So like Desire Core here, for example, I could be selling these for 20 FE. There's also another reason why farming cube is pretty nice. Also going over here and doing this. I don't know if I mentioned during cube, I just want to double check. I will repeat myself, but you want to take pretty much everything in cube, I think, except this node, because this reduces your desire crystal drop quantity by a bunch, and only just increases the chance of getting the boss thing there. And so you don't necessarily want to take that if you're planning on doing all of the rest of the tree, which, you know, this one node here kind of works against this. So don't do those things together. And then, yeah, just like kind of go through here and make sure that there's stuff that you know, could potentially sell here. You can price check it up. And with the new system here, when you're in the auction house, you can actually just click on whatever thing that you want, and it'll price it up for you right away, which I think is just a very smooth and fun way to price check stuff. And we can just kind of see some of the stuff that I've sold here recently, like the dream talking stuff, selling just like boss materials or compasses and things that, like, you know, I wanted to sell or I just like didn't feel like I was going to be using. And yeah, just like that kind of stuff. And I don't know if I can find that slate in here somewhere, but you can definitely make money from like a lot of different mechanics right now. Even some of the things that you like only making a little bit of money here and there, stuff like, you know, the Void Sea, you know, tickets and stuff. I think those are gonna make money for you too. And so just like really take the time to make sure that you're clearing out your inventory and like getting rid of things that are there, because, you know, you're gonna be able to go out and get yourself just better loot. Getting a little bit more loot, getting a little more damage is gonna help you just farm even better. Anyways, come by the stream. We'll see you again soon. Bye.